Hey everybody, welcome to your online Kinstretch class. Today we're going to begin, as we always do, with some controlled articular rotations, our joint circles. We're going to take the body through each of the joints. If you're short on time today, you could do just spine, hips, knees, ankles, and toes. But if you have time to do this full series, I really recommend it. We'll start standing. Push the feet into the floor. Begin to feel the hips waking up. Brace through the belly. Take the arms out to the sides, make two fists. Drop your chin to the chest, bring your chin over to your right collarbone. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, and then draw a semicircle across the ceiling until your left ear comes to your left shoulder. Then left collarbone coming back around through to center. We'll do 2 more times in this direction. I'd like you to think about moving slowly at a steady pace. Not in any kind of rush, and being sure as always that there is no pain as you move through these circles. We'll do 1 more time around this direction. Keep the tension through the rest of the body. When your chin comes back to center, reverse. Especially as we get to the second half here, pay attention. This is where the body sometimes gets a little bit fatigued, and we might start to lose the tension, the irradiation through the arms, through the torso, through the legs. But it's just as important in both directions that we have that tension. As you bring your chin back around through to center, lift the gaze, pause, breathe. Let's move on to your shoulder joint. Taking your left arm out to the left, push the feet into the floor. Now with your right hand, you might choose to hold on to the left ribs. Doing this will help you to notice if the spine twists. The ribs will move under your hand. Begin with the palm up. Sweep your straight elbow across the body. As big a circle as you can draw until the ear comes up. The arm comes up by the ear. Then we revolve. The upper arm turns away, and we make as big a circle as we can until the back of your hand lands by your hip. Then we reverse, circling back. Now your shoulder blade has to move a little bit to accommodate this movement of the arm. But see if you can minimize that. Let it be as much as you can about the rotation of your upper arm bone in the shoulder socket. As you bring the arm back behind you, you're making as big of a circle back there as you can. When you reverse, make sure that you start with that internal rotation, get as high as you can, and then externally rotate to bring the arm up and over. Continue to maintain tension through the whole body. We'll do 1 more. We've got the hand on the ribs, or I do anyway, so that when I get to this top position and I start to turn my bicep away from me, I can notice if the ribs are starting to turn to try to make the movement feel bigger. I'm coming back and over and pause. Come to the second side now. If you liked the idea of hanging on to the ribs, getting that little grip, you could do that. Or have the other arm out to the side for tension. Straight right arm sweeps across the body. Bring the arm up by the ear. And then when you can go no further, don't think about turning the hand, think about turning your upper arm, your bicep. Then draw that big circle back behind you as you move through internal rotation. Keep internal rotation as long as you can, and when you get stuck, then it's time to turn the arm over. Now that's almost always the trickiest part. So if you notice that there's pain there, you'll want to make the movement smaller, or go around the sticky part. If it's just difficult, we can work through difficult, and the more that we do this movement, the less difficult it gets. Lubricating the joints. We'll do 1 more time. Keep the tension, pushing the feet into the floor, making sure that the abdominal muscles are still lightly braced. And up and over for a final time. Good. Let's move on to the elbows and the wrists. Take the elbows by the ribs here. Straighten the arms and take a look down at your biceps. We want the biceps not to move at all. Imagine that there's an X drawn on each bicep. The X stays exactly where it is, it never moves. Begin by turning your palms over here and then bend the elbows, flex them up toward the shoulders. When you can't go any further, turn the palms over, pronate, and then the arms come back down. Watch the biceps here at the bottom as you turn the palms over into supination. Bend again, and we come back up. Turn the palms over. Biceps don't move as the arms come back down. Now keep the palms down and we'll reverse that for 2 reps. Arms up, palms turn over, straight arms. Don't turn the biceps, turn the lower arm. Then bring the hand up, turn the palm over, come all the way back down. Palms in front of you now. This is a movement of just the wrists. If you've never done this before, the trickiest thing is that your forearm is going to want to move. So we're isolating the movement to just the wrist. Let's begin by flexing and extending the wrists. I'm going to have 2 straight hands here, and we're going to challenge ourselves not to bend the fingers. Now, the next time that the fingers point up toward the sky, without turning the forearms over, point the fingers in toward one another, then point the fingers down to the floor. Don't let the forearm turn as you go out toward the thumbs and up toward the ceiling. Let's do that 2 more times. In, down, out, up. Watch your forearms the whole time, trying your best not to let them turn. And then we'll reverse. Out, down, use your whole body to help. In, up, send strength to these joints. Out, down, in, up. Last one. Out, down, in, and up. Great job. Okay, now the whole spine. Take the feet a little wider. This helps a little bit with some of the compensatory movements that we tend to make with the hips, but it doesn't rule them out completely. So as we move through the torso now, pay attention and don't let the hips move as best you can. Imagine that the room is full of cement right up to the pelvis. Pelvis can't move in space. Get a good brace. I'm going to grab a block and squeeze the block in front of me, hopefully not my microphone. And then we'll move from here. So this gives me a little extra tension in the body. So we begin by flexing downward. Then from this flexed position, rotate over to your right. A little side bend initiates spinal extension. Now the hips want to move forward, but I'm not letting them. From my fully extended position, I rotate to the left. It's a twist, and then curl back down into flexion. Let's try that again. Rotate right. Little side bend right. Monitor the hips as you ask each vertebra now to contribute into full spinal extension. Twist to the left. Ask all of the vertebrae to help. Curl back down into center. We'll do one more. Curl, twist, move back, twist again, back to center. Reversing directions, keep the brace, push the feet into the floor, rotate left, side bend left, extend back, rotate right, flex forward, and continue. Twist, back bend, twist, move forward. Last one, here we go. I'm really working hard, this is why I'm not talking, to try not to let my hips move too much, so that the movement is just controlled at the spine. Coming back around to center, if you have a block, set that down. Now before we move down to the floor for the lower body, I'm going to do a little work with toes. So we're going to skip ahead to toes. The work here is to try to lift the big toe by itself first, then all the other toes, and we lift them all at once. If you're not able to do this without putting your hands on your feet, that's fine. Put your hands on your feet and train them that way. So you would hold down the toes that want to come up. Okay, here we go. Big toe lifts up by itself. Use your whole body to help. Set it down. Again, big toe up and down. One more time, big toe up by itself. Set it down. Now, big toe stays down. All the other toes lift up. Try not to collapse into the inner arches. Set down. All the other toes up. Set down, big toe down. Last time, all the other toes up and down. Now, all the toes up, big toe down by itself. Lift it up. Big toe and up. One more like that. Big toe and up. Final piece. Spread the toes wide. Try to put them down like piano keys. Lift them up. So, beginning with the pinky toe. Set down, 4, 3, 2, big toe. All the way up. You get one more chance. Good job. All right. Let's come into a quadruped position to work on the hips. Now, because hips are going to be the focus of our practice today, really want us to pay a lot of attention. And I know you've been working hard already, but really pay attention here to not letting the rest of the body move. So as we move, in a moment, we'll be moving the left hip. I want you to imagine that if I were looking at you and somehow I was able to block out that left hip completely, it would look like you were a statue. The rest of your body doesn't move at all. And that includes your lower back. So, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit here today and you have a block, place a block on your lower back, and you'll notice that it'll shift around or even fall off if you start to move the lumbar spine or your hips. Here we go. Get a brace in the belly. Push the hands into the floor. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Kick your left heel up and back behind you. Now this is a movement of the hips, so we're squeezing the glutes to make that happen. Then left knee out to the left like a dog at a fire hydrant. Bring it as far forward as you can and under you without flexing the spine. Then up and back behind you. So we're trying to keep the spine neutral the whole time. Out to the side. Moving through thick air like 1 mile per hour up and back behind you. One more time this direction. Out to the side for the outer hip working. Try not to tilt the pelvis. Elbows stay straight. Knee comes under. And then up and back. And we'll reverse. Knee comes under you. Work for that without flexing the spine. Out to the side. Now, internal rotation. The heel drives up first, then the knee follows. 2 more times. Under. Out. Spiral, heel up. And back into center. Last time. Here we go. Under. Out. Up and back. And set it down. In between sides, I'm going to take a moment and breathe. When you're working with a lot of intensity, sometimes it's helpful to be able to pause before we come to the second side, especially if you're using your whole body as we want to be doing. Okay, here we go. Second side, right hip working hard. Brace the belly. Shoulders are packed. Drive your right heel up toward the ceiling without letting the spine do the work. So all back of hip. Now knee out to the side, under, up and back. Out, under, up and back. Noise is normal. I don't know about normal, but it's typical. So if you have noise in your body, that's okay, as long as there's not pain. Next time your heel comes up and back, let's reverse. Under, out, internal rotation, and in. Out. Now let the knee drop down as the heel comes up, like you're trying to balance a cup of water on the heel. And then under. One more. Feel the thigh bone spiral in the hip socket through internal rotation. And then knee comes back down to the floor. If you're using a block, you can set that off to the side. and come into a seated position for knees. I'm going to bend my right knee just to get it out of the way a little bit. Hook left elbow under the left knee and pull the leg in. At this point, if it works in your body, you can take your left hand, grab your right bicep. Right hand hangs on to the left thigh. I'm going to monitor my left thigh bone to make sure it's not moving here. So this is not a hip movement. This is a movement of your lower leg. Begin by turning your toes out. Start to straighten the leg, but don't lock it out, even if you can. As the toes turn in, feel the muscles, feel the shin move. Bend, out, up. If you can take your hand, put it right here below the knee. Feel that movement coming from here. Bend, and one more that direction. Out, up, in, down. Good. Now, let's reverse that. Keep the toes in. Up, out, down, in, up, out, down. One more. In, up, out, and down. Good. Switch legs. Hold onto your right knee. Clasp the left wrist. Left hand can monitor the right thigh for movement. Or if you want to feel the movement of the shin bones, put your hand right here below the knee. You can look at your pants too and see if you can see it. And sometimes feeling it is more helpful because you can feel the muscles move under your hand as your brain asks your body to move. All right, out, up, in, down, out, up, in, down. Whole body still tense. Out, up, in, down. Now reverse. Up, out, up, out, down, in. One more. Up, out, down, and in. Great job. Back to the left leg. Prop your left leg up on something and see if you can lock out your left knee. If it won't lock out, it's fine. Just keep it as straight as you can. And we'll start to make our circles now with the ankle. As the ankle slowly rotates around, see if you can notice where it's a little slower or a little faster, and even that out. Go the other direction. We're trying to keep the movement now just in the ankle without the involvement of the shin at all, without the knee moving. Good. Switch legs. We're almost done, not quite. Straight right leg if you can. Watch that the hip isn't doing the movement here, so you can hold on to the leg if you like, and check that. Sometimes when we get a little too relaxed or we're not paying attention, the thigh bone itself will start to rotate in the hip socket in order to help that movement, and that's not what we're after here. Go your other direction. Good. All right. Let's set up for our first little hold. Start in a 90-90 position with your right knee forward. If you haven't seen 90-90 before, we're looking for a 90-degree angle in the right knee, a 90-degree angle between your right thigh and your left thigh, and a 90-degree angle between your left shin and the left thigh. You may need to make some of these angles smaller. You may need to lean back. You might need to sit up on something or provide a little support under a knee. Take care of your body in whatever way you need to. We're going to be here for a little while. And we're doing just a little work here for internal rotation of this left hip before we get into some of the rest of our practice. We always begin with just a little time to settle in. So think about your left sitting bone getting a little heavy. And if this feels really easy and really doable for you, if there's nothing at all happening, if it's sort of boring in your body, then you might sit up a little bit more, turn towards your back heel, and see if you can encourage the left sitting bone to drop down more. I don't need to do that. I got plenty happening. So I'm going to stay right here, and I'm posting back onto my right hand because I'm feeling just a little limited here today, although I know that's going to open up shortly. Now, while we're here, in order to multitask, we're going to do a little work with the left shoulder blade. We're going to do our scapular circles here in 90-90. So we'll start by taking the left arm out to the left. If this feels confusing for you, don't worry. Do your best. Start by lifting your left shoulder blade to the sky. Squeeze the left shoulder blade to the spine. Pull the left shoulder blade down the back. Pull the left shoulder blade away from the spine. Keep the elbows straight as you go up, in, down, apart, up, in, down, apart. One more. Now reverse, in, up, out, down, in, up, out, down. Make the movement as big as you can from the shoulder blade only. One more. Good, let that relax. All right, now we've had a little time here in this left hip. We're going to do a light pales rails contraction. So we're not going to go up to 100% of your max effort. We're going to go to about half of that, 50, 40, 50, 60, wherever you feel comfortable. To begin, the action will be to try to externally rotate out of the stretch. If you were to externally rotate it, your knee would lift and you'd pivot on the heel to rotate externally. So if you can feel where in your body you would originate that, what muscles would do that. Then, after we spend some time there, we're going to try to internally rotate. You're not going to go anywhere because you're already at your end range position. However, if you were to lean forward a little bit here and try to lift your left heel, see if you can feel where in your hip, in your butt, that movement comes from. That's the contraction we'll be doing for the second half here. So to begin, you can put your left hand right here on the thigh, and just with 10% of your effort, think about pushing thigh into hand as you try to externally rotate. With 10% of your effort, the whole body is helping. Good, let's take that up to 20, 30, 40, 50% and hold. So just 50% of your effort, but this slower, longer hold with this effort can be pretty tiring. You might even start to twitch or tingle. Not tingle, if you're tingling, that's not okay, come out. But you might start to twitch a little bit in the muscles that are trying to make this isometric contraction happen. Remember that an isometric contraction means that the muscle isn't moving. It's not getting longer, it's not getting shorter, but we're contracting it in that position. So feel how the muscles are working here, and we'll just hold for a little while longer. And then when we're done with this part of it, remember, we don't relax. We're going to take that same 50% effort and turn it into an internal rotation contraction, a rails contraction. So holding here for just a while longer, almost there. Good, now rails contraction with just 50% effort. Try to make your left heel light. It's as though you could pivot on the knee and the heel lifts up, but that can't happen because your left sitting bone is staying heavy. So with just 50% of your effort, somewhere around there, you're trying to spiral that thigh bone more deeply into the hip socket, keeping the left hip heavy, as though your heel could get lighter. If there was scale under your left heel, imagine that you're trying to make it weigh 0 pounds. It's just getting a little lighter. Almost there, not too much longer, just 50% effort, not a lot, but steady with that, steady with that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly relax. Slowly relax. Slowly relax. If you got a little hip cramp, you can massage that out. See if you can now stay in position and allow your body to drop into the stretch a little bit more. Good. Take a couple of breaths right here. These light effort pails and rails, we hold a little bit longer. But that doesn't mean Just because it's light doesn't mean it's not tiring. All right, we're going to do one more set of that, and then we'll be done with the internal rotation work for now. Left hand holds on to the left thigh. Think about externally rotating as though the thigh could lift into your hand and resist. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, now 50%, and hold, or wherever it feels right for you. So just about half of your effort now is trying to rotate externally. The whole body is supporting, so I'm bracing with the belly, I'm pushing my right hand into the floor. My right leg is active too. My left hip is staying heavy, and I can feel the tension. It's a constant tension, and I'm trying to keep it level so it doesn't fluctuate higher, lower. This requires a lot of concentration and a lot of focus. So right now, if you can, make your whole world about 50% of your effort trying to rotate externally. It's not 100, it's 50. So you're not dying. If it were 100, you'd have to stop sooner. We're doing 50 so we can stay a little longer. We're almost there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Now rails contraction, just 50%. Try to make your left heel lighter. Try to think about keeping the knee where it is, but floating the heel toward the sky as the thigh bone spirals internally, like this outer thigh here would roll down toward the floor without any movement at all in the torso, without any feeling of shortness or cramping or changing here in the obliques or the back. This is all about the tissue of the back left hip trying to internally rotate you. Hold here, hold here, hold here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly relax. Slowly relax. Slowly relax. Okay. If you need to come out of position and shake it out a little bit, we can do that. Otherwise, it's time to transition to 90-90 on the second side. So we'll do that by moving through a bear sit position. I'd like you to imagine now that your right knee is glued to the floor. You may need to lean back. You may need to use an object for tension here as we do this next part. So watch first, and then you can do it if you like. The right knee squeezes into the floor. There's tension in my belly. I'm irradiating strongly through the whole body. As my left knee lifts now, I'm rotating externally into the left hip, maximally rotating. When I can't go any further, then slowly the right knee comes up, and I continue to rotate, internally rotating through the back hip, now the right hip, as the left knee comes to the floor, and then settling in, sinking into our 90-90 position on the second side. So left leg gets a break, and now it'll be all about the right hip for just a little while. Let's work again on our scapular cars here. It's a good position to multitask while we're holding the stretch. We don't want to be thinking about, it's not particularly helpful to just be thinking about the stretch. Sometimes it's more helpful, I think, to distract ourselves a little bit from it so that some time can go by. So get yourself into your end range of position. Let yourself breathe. And then we'll take right arm out to the right. I'm going to make a fist. And we'll begin by drawing the shoulder blade up, out, down, in, up, out, down, in. Keep going and smooth it out, keeping the elbow straight. You're in a different position from where you would normally do this, which will mean the brain has to work a little. Now reverse, in, down, out, up, in, down, out, up. Let's do one more. And then let that go. Sinking the right hip a little bit more heavily into the floor. And maybe now turning to slightly more toward the right hip as you encourage that internal rotation. Let's get into that pails and rails set for the right legs. We're doing 2 of them. Just like we did on the first side, externally rotating would be to lift the knee away from the floor here, like a windshield wiper coming up. Internally rotating would be to lift the heel. Place the right hand on the right thigh if you find that helpful, and then you can push thigh into hand, hand into thigh, or do something else with the hand. Some people like to grip, some people like to stay upright if that works, or if you're holding onto the floor here, push into the floor, use that for tension. 10%, try to externally rotate. 20, 30, 40, 50% and hold. Good, holding here. 50% of your effort trying to rotate externally, keeping the hip heavy, keeping the knee down, just asking the body to try to engage the muscles that would pull the thigh out of this internal rotation stretch and into external rotation. As you stay with it, imagine a meter, and the meter doesn't fluctuate, it's right there at 50. Just a little while longer. You can work with different strategies to try to find what's going to help you to maintain that 50. I just moved a little bit to help myself, and that's helping me to stay steady with the 50. We're almost there. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, stay with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, reverse, internal rotation. Try to spiral the thigh bone deep in the hip socket. Try to lift the heel. Try to get a little lighter. You shouldn't feel anything, or we don't want to feel anything right here in the low belly. We don't want to feel anything here in the sideways. This is all about the hip. So you're only going as far as you can, up to 50%, while using the tissue that would rotate the thigh bone. Notice what's happening through the rest of the body and see if you can continue to monitor your effort using the whole body to help. 50%. This is the body's job. Just half of your body's strength is being used right now to try to make your right heel light, to try to make that scale under your right foot read 0. Not much longer, you're almost there. I know this is not easy. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly relax. And see if you can sink into a new range of motion. Take a slow breath in, and then through the nose, a slower breath out. Slow breath in, slower breath out. Warming up the hips. We've got just one more set of those. Okay. Last time, when you're ready, find your strategy that you're using for tension, and now 10% try to rotate externally. 20, 30, 40, 50% and hold. Staying steady with it, still breathing. Almost there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, reverse. 50%, try to internally rotate. Try to keep that heaviness. The right hip stays heavy even as the thigh bone's trying to move separately. So this is what we want, this uncoupling of the thigh bone and the hip. Think about the right butt being heavy and the right thigh rolling in. 50% effort, whole body supporting you. You can do this. We're not going to stay much longer, almost there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly relax. Let the hips drop a little bit more. Pause and breathe. Okay. Now, let's keep this position. Bring your awareness to the front knee, which will be the left knee here. We're going to do a little bit work with external rotation. So, external rotation on the front leg would be to keep the knee down and lift the heel. You may need to drop over onto your elbow to make that happen, or you may be able just to lean off to the side a little bit. What we're looking for here is the knee to stay down and the heel to lift. It shouldn't be a big lift. If you're able to do it easily, then we're in our mid-range and you already have a lot of control over that. So I want it to be really small, almost like you're just trying to slip a piece of paper right under there. We're going to do 2 sets of 10 with a little rest in between. The whole body braces. Now your ankle's going to move a little as you do this, but try to make it a movement of the hip itself. You're going to feel maybe the thigh and hip working. All right? Find strategy for bracing through the body. Belly braces, back leg strong, push into the floor, and lift up for 1, set it back down. 2, 3, 4, imagine it parachutes back down to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Give it a little rest. You know, these are small movements, right? They're small because we don't have a lot of control right here at the end range where we are. So many people I know can easily drop themselves into a comfortable pigeon position, but they can't actively control their body in that position. So that's what we're learning here. Let's do 1 more set of 10. We're going to do them at that same pace. So the right knee stays down. Brace the belly, push the hand into the floor as you need to, and then 10 times we lift off. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Good job. All right, let's transition through our bear sit back into 90-90. Glue your left knee to the floor. Lean back if you need to. Start to externally rotate right knee. Take it as wide as you can. Then, when you can't go any further, slowly internally rotate your left hip. Now, feel the left knee drawing toward the ground. Settle into 90-90 with the right knee forward. We're coming right into those passive range lift-offs for the right leg. Lean off to the right as needed. You can use a block to lean onto. And remember, if it's too easy, it's too easy. Make it a little harder. The right knee is going to stay down. 10 times we're lifting that right heel away from the floor. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brace the body. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Float it down and rest. Check out your 90-degree angle. As we start to fatigue, one of the things that will happen is this angle gets smaller because it's a lot easier to control the range of motion with the knee flexed like that. So see if you can keep that 90-degree angle, just so you get a true measure of what's really happening. Second set, brace, push into the floor. I'm making a fist with my left hand to help me to irradiate. 10 times, lift off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Pause, breathe, rest for a moment. All right. Now we're moving into I'm not going to call it a pigeon position because it doesn't have rules. This is a position that's going to vary depending on your body and what you're comfortably able to do. And it can look very different. So let's start by bending the right knee and pulling that heel in toward the hip. Straighten the left leg out behind you. And then as you come forward onto the hands, bring your right heel right under your right butt. So instead of being a pigeon where I'm trying to get a stretch to the front of the hip, I am instead kind of balancing my butt on top of my right heel. Now, if this isn't comfortable for you, first of all, that's very reasonable if that's not comfortable for you. Then you would come forward to more of a quadruped position. A couple of things may happen for you here. You may need cushioning under the right knee. You may find that you need to tuck your right toes under. Almost everybody's going to need to do that. Then, forearms can come down to the floor or to the ground, and I'm stepping back with my left leg. So watch one time what we're trying to do here. In a little bit, we're going to do 2 sets of 15 liftoffs with the left heel. That's going to look like this. What I'm after here is to try to use the back of my hip, just my glutes, and not my spine. So I would like my lower back to be a little bit rounded in order to accomplish that. Now, I've got my toes tucked under right now because that lifted me up enough to make this reasonable. If you cannot comfortably have your toes tucked under you, that's reasonable. Then, instead, you might stack up some blocks and put them under you to rest on so that the belly is on top of them. Or you could just be up a little bit higher and lift like this. What I want you to do is find a strategy that lets you lift your left leg off of the floor using your hip and not your spine. So if you can find a way to tuck or round your lower back, that's going to be ideal. Here too, we don't want a big, huge lift off. If it's a big lift off, you've got too much control. We don't need to train that. I want you to find the place that's difficult. That's where the training's needed. This is hip extension that we're training. So, set yourself up. We don't need to stretch here first. We just need to find the place where we're going to work. Now, for myself today, I'm going to have my toes tucked under. Feels all right for now. Keeping that rounding in my lower back. I'm on my elbows, but you could be on your hands. Find your strategy. Now, straight left leg. Squeeze your left butt. Use your whole body to irradiate. Push into the floor and then lift off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest in between sets. This is one of the hardest things that we'll do today. We are trying to really work with this extensibility of the hip. This is something that you may not have trained before, so it might feel like not much is happening. Even if you can barely lift the leg off the ground, I don't care. As long as you're using the muscles that would lift the leg off the ground, that's a total win. Contraction is what we're after here. The goal is not like lift the leg at any cost, because a lot of the time we're going to start to compensate with the spine. So as we come into the second set, I want you to keep that in mind. It's okay that it's challenging, right? This is supposed to be a little bit challenging. keeping the lower back rounded if you can. Set yourself up, brace through the body. 15 sets, 15 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Let's get ready to switch sides. Drink water anytime you need it, please. More than halfway through the practice. This work is, it's challenging, I think. But I want you to know that the work that you're doing here has an impact on everything you do. How you move, how you walk, how you're able to squat, and we'll look at that in a little bit. So it might feel like, what a random position to get into. It looks random, but this is specific. We're trying to get into a position where all you can do is lift your leg from the hip. Because if you don't have that ability, then we have to train it. And it doesn't matter how far down you are. What matters is that you're finding your place where it's challenging and working from there. Let's set up for the second set. Take a breath in, get a good brace. Right leg up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Although I didn't say it before, I hope you know that the two sides are going to be different. Your setup on the second side may need to be really different. So you may find that you're stronger on one side than another, or you may find that you need to add more support, or maybe one foot doesn't like the position as much. So we're working with the body that you've got right now. Last set here. Straighten the right leg behind you, come into your end range motion, or your almost end range, where you have maybe 15 degrees, and then test the lift off, see how that feels. And we'll go. Ready? Get your brace. 15, 14, float it down. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, stay with it. 7, use your whole body. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are done. Very nice job. Take a moment, shake it out, move around, get a little stretch if you need to, and let's get ready for our next segment of the practice. So I'm going to stand up, and you can do that too when you're ready, and just shake out for a minute. We're coming now into some kinetic stretching. Kinetic stretching works with imagined resistance. So what we'll be doing is coming into our end range squat position. That's your comfortable, controlled squat. I don't care if it's really high, that doesn't matter. What I want is something that you have control over your muscles in. So look, I don't want this kind of squat where you're hanging out, but if you had to get out of it, you wouldn't be able to recruit your muscles to help you. You should be able to squeeze your butt and come up. So if that means that you're here, that's a good place to be. Kinetic stretching, we are trying to imagine resistance. So what we'll be doing is bracing the arms, so you can have them wherever you want. I'm gonna have them in front of me probably. Taking my legs into my squat shape Now I'm imagining that somebody's trying to pull me up. So I'm imagining somebody's got their arms under mine and I'm resisting them by pulling myself down. I'm pulling myself down from the shins, from the hips, all the way down into the bottom of my squat, and then I don't rest here. Now I push up. Now I imagine that somebody's trying to drag me down and I'm pushing against that resistance. Okay? So again, as you come down, you're moving slowly and you're imagining that somebody is holding you back. Somebody's pulling you up as you're trying to go down. When you get to the bottom, you're going to imagine that somebody's trying to drag you down as you lift up out of it. Super active, super strong. We're going to do one set of 5 and then go from there. Take your arms out in front of you or brace wherever you want to. And now, pull in, pull in, pull in, pull into the bottom of your squat and then push out, push out, push out, push out. Pull in, shins, hips, bottom of your squat, and push out. Feel your hips, feel your legs, come to the top. 3 more, pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. 2 more, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. Last one, somebody's trying to stop you, but you are stronger. Pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. Take a moment, breathe, shake out the legs, shake out the body, let go of that tension. We'll need it again, but you don't need it right now. Let the breath slow. Slow breath in, slow breath out, all through the nose as best you can. 2 more breaths. 1 more. Good. Second set of those. So, what did you learn from the first set? If you learned that I'm counting too fast for you, then you go at your own pace and just do the same amount of time. If you learned that there's some pain when you get to the bottom, then you're going too far. Just go down, even if it's just a little, and then you're going to do more than I'm doing, right? But you're maintaining tension that whole time as you come up and down. If you want to try something different, you might push a block between the hands or hug a block in front of you. And let's try 1 more set of 5 of those. Here we go. Set your feet where you want them. Remember, as you come down, somebody's trying to pull you up, resisting that. As you come up, somebody's trying to drag you down, pulling yourself up out of it. Here we go. Pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. Pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. 3 more, pull in, constant tension. Pulling into the hole and then push out, push out, push out, push out. 2 more, pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, push out, push out, push out, push out. Last one. Push out, push out, push out, push out. Woo! Awesome job. Again, if you want to drink water, take a moment, breathe, do that. The next thing we're doing will require some of us to make some decisions about what position makes the most sense. If you have a very comfortable deep squat, then you're welcome to come into that. That's not going to work for everybody. So let's say that you're comfortable in the deep squat, but when I show you what we're doing, you decide, no, that's not a good idea. You might choose to sit on a couple of blocks in your squat. So that would look like this. Or the alternative is bear sit. And I do this variation a lot. What we're going to do next will be internal and external rotations of each leg individually in either squat or bear sit. So these are called capsular cars. We're coming into bear sit, for example. I'll show you one first. And then I'm going to ask you to rotate internally with just one leg, take it as far as it goes, and at the end you hold just a squeeze, and then back out. External rotation, find your end and look for a little bit more. So we're holding on the in and the out just for a moment to really squeeze and try to wring out a little bit more motion. We'll do 5 on each leg. If you were doing this in a squat, and we'll see how my hips feel today, whether or not this will make sense. We'll do the same thing here. Now to do that, I need to offload a little bit. So I'll come over here to my right leg, and then I'm going to internally rotate. The important thing here is to not let the hip move. So as my thigh comes down, I'm watching my hip and saying, don't move, hip. And then as I externally rotate, it's the same thing. I'm only going as far as I can with movement of the hip itself, of the thigh itself, not the pelvis. So see what's going to make sense for you. I'm going to try to do it myself in a squat. I may need to transition to bear sit in a little while. We'll begin with the right leg. Find yourself in your comfortable position. And then if you're in squat with me, you're going to lean to the side a little bit maybe, and we'll start by irradiating strongly, and then internally rotate, find your end, look for a little more. Externally rotate, find your end, look for a little bit more. Now, I've worked on this for a long time, so I have more range of motion than some people will. Internally rotate. You don't need to be able to take your knee to the ground. Externally rotate, that's not the goal. We're looking for how far can you go here without letting the pelvis move. In, out, in, and out. Last 2. Last 1. Good. Second side, coming right in. Change position if you need to. Offset to the side if you need to. Move to bear sit if you're in squat and it doesn't feel right. Brace the body. Now, left knee, left hip rolls in. The pelvis doesn't move. It rolls out. In. Find your end. Look for a little more. Out. Number 3. And out. Use your whole body to help you. 4. And out. And last 1. Roll out. Back to center. If you're with me in squat, stand up or come into bear sit or shake it out however you'd like. That can get pretty intense, so give yourself a little time. Okay. Don't forget to drink water because I sure am going to. The next thing we're doing is possible from a squat position. I'm not going to demonstrate that today, but it's possible, and if you want to do it, you can. We're going to do swimmers. So this is a shoulder movement, but we're doing it with our hips in a particular shape. So I'm going to demonstrate from bear sit. Again, it is possible to do this from squat. It is very challenging, and if your body is fatigued, it'll be extra challenging. Here's the movement. You may have done this with me before. We begin with the hands behind the head. We squeeze the shoulder blades together, take the arms out to the side, internally rotate as the arms draw a big circle back behind you. Put the hands on the lower back. Lift off, circle wide. Come all the way back up, hands come behind the head. We'll do 5 of those. All right, So again, if you want to do that in squat, you're welcome to. If you want to come into bear sit like I'm showing, you can do that too. If you need to prop up, if you need to sit up on something, by all means, please do. At this point in the class, I would expect that you'd be pretty fatigued, especially if you've been working with a lot of irradiation. So support yourself however you need to. Get a good brace through the body. Bring the hands behind the head. And then lift the hands off of the head. Straight elbows, bring the arms out and back. Two hands come behind the back. Set down. Lift off. Circle wide. Hands behind the head, set on. 4 more, lift off, wide, circle back. Look for as much range of motion as you can without ducking the head forward. Put the hands on the back. Lift off, circle wide. Good. 3 more. Imagine that you're moving through really thick air here. Lift off, circle wide. 4, last one, lift off. And hands back on. Great job. Take a moment and do any movement that the body's looking for. So we made it all the way through this practice. We're just going to close with a little parasympathetic breathing to try to bring down the nervous system a little bit. If it would feel good to you to arrange yourself in some particular position, maybe a supported bridge with a block under the hips to stretch out through the front of the hips, maybe there's some other shape that would feel really good to you, or you're welcome to lie down, or you can just take a seat. Now it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to close your eyes. Begin here simply by noticing that you're breathing. Feel the breath coming and going. As you breathe, see if you can notice the muscles of the body, especially the shoulders or the hips. And keep your breath in and out through the nose, but see if you can begin to invite your exhale to slow down a little. Breathe in and out more slowly. As you continue to breathe here, once again, bring your awareness back to the feeling of the muscles of the body. And see if you can allow your exhale to be an invitation to soften a little bit. All of that tightness and gripping and bracing that we encourage, we need to be able to learn to let that to release when the time is right. So to whatever degree you can manage, invite the body to soften or relax here. Each exhale an invitation. Now, if you like, along with the muscles of your body, invite your mind to relax on the exhale too. Breathing out slowly, the mind and the body relax. And if that isn't the right word for you, then soften or dissolve. Feel more ease. Untighten, unclench. Last moment or two here before we move on. If you'd like to stay longer for meditation or rest, please feel free. Otherwise, it's time for us to move on with the rest of our day. If your eyes are closed, you can blink them open, find a little movement in the body again. Thank you so much for doing this important work. I hope that it felt good in your body. I hope that your body feels good afterward. Pay attention to the sensations. Remember that this is feedback that we receive, and sometimes the feedback can tell us that we were doing more than we needed to, or working in a different area than we meant to. So it's not that you made a mistake, it's not that you're wrong or the practice is wrong. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. As we repeat the work more and more, our awareness becomes more finely attuned to how the body works, how your body works for you. Then your experience with that will continue to shift and change. Great job today. I hope to see you again soon.